Good morning. Welcome, everyone. You got here right as the rain began, but it's so wonderful to gather on a cold and wet spring morning. I was talking to Lindsay right before the service, and this church always feels like a warm hug to me on days like this. So, welcome. We're going to open with our hymn of the month, 128, For All That Is Our Life, as we sing of human need and service to others and the joys and sorrows that we share. This hymn expresses our theme of the month, paying attention. Let us rise in body or spirit.
We're so glad that you're here today, just as you are, with all that you love and all that has brought you to this space. I'm Reverend Joyce, and my pronouns are she and her. Our worship team this morning is Reverend Bret, Tim, our music director, Lindsay, our director of religious education, our talented unicantors, Autumn, our office manager who is on tech, and Alexis, our worship associate this morning. As always, do join us for coffee hour after the service. The coffee hosts today are Julie and Patrick Abel, Terry and Phil Curtin, Nita Webster and Judy Gustafson are our greeters, Pam Wilson and Bar Wilson are ushers for us today. If you are online, do like, comment, and share this worship service with others. If today is your first day worshiping with us, online or in person, we are thrilled that you are here. Let us know who you are so that we can be in touch.
I'm Alexis, and my pronouns are she, her. We are worshiping in the homeland of Indigenous, Ho-Chunk, and Potawatomi people, and are humbled to be on this sacred ground. This land, this country, this liberal faith, and our very lives are inherited from the complicated intersections of oppression, freedom, resistance, migration, war, justice-making, and hope. From these legacies, we learn, grow, seek repair, give thanks, and build a better world for those who will inherit our choices. We gather today for worship, and as we gather, we join in our sacred ritual. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith, a beacon of truth, a fire for justice, a warmth for the soul. One of our children, Grace, who has a birthday, or it's her birthday, maybe, will light our chalice today. Let us speak together the covenant of our church. Love is the spirit of this church, and reason is its guide, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to serve human need. This is our covenant. Now let us sing our chalice response song.
As we come together this morning, we share our prayers of the people, the naming of joy and sorrow, the holding in heart of those we love. We hold in our hearts all those recovering from illnesses and experiencing maladies of body or soul. May mercy and healing attend them. We are grateful that Scott and Sue Garwick made it home safely yesterday after their trip to Vietnam. We express deep gratitude that members, staff, and children at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, Michigan are safe. Our hearts are with the Temple Israel community in the wake of this attack. We condemn anti-Semitism in all its forms, and we stand in solidarity with our Jewish neighbors. We are committed to their safety, dignity, and the freedom to worship and gather without fear. We send our collective prayers to all those who are suffering because of the war in the Middle East, especially those grieving loved ones, those living with fear, those displaced from their homes. Every loss of life is a tragedy. May there be protection for civilians, comfort for the bereaved, healing for the wounded, and a swift turn toward justice, restraint, and lasting peace. I invite you in this space to name those aloud or in silence who you are holding in your heart this morning. I invite you now to turn to your neighbors and greet them in fellowship.
This is a beloved community. It provides warmth and nurture and companionship. When you are cold, reach for our hearth. When you're hungry, come to our table. When you are lonely, be here with us. Welcome to worship.
I'm Lindsay, your Director of Religious Education. My pronouns are she and her. Working with our children and youth today are Rose and Rebecca in the nursery, Katie and Lisa with the 1st through 6th grade group, and Art and myself with the youth group. As a reminder, the sound of children is always welcome, but please do silence your electronic devices. Our story this morning is Malala's Magic Pencil by Malala Yousafzai, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. Do you believe in magic? When I was younger, I used to watch a TV show about a boy who had a magic pencil. If he was hungry, he drew a bowl of curry, and it appeared. If he and his friends were in danger, he drew a police officer. The boy was a little hero, always protecting the people who needed help. How I wanted a magic pencil, too. If I had a magic pencil, I would use it to put a lock on my door so my brothers couldn't bother me, stop time so I could sleep an extra hour every morning, erase the smell of the trash dump near our house. And I would use it to make other people happy. I would draw the most beautiful dresses in the world for my mother, the best buildings in the valley for my father, so he could open many schools where children would study for free. A proper ball, so my brothers and I no longer had to play with an old sock stuffed with rubbish. Every night before I went to bed, I wished for a magic pencil of my own, and every morning I would wake up and check my cupboard. But the magic pencil was never there. One day I was throwing away potato peels and eggshells at the dump. I was wrinkling my nose, swatting away flies, and making sure I didn't step on anything dirty in my nice shoes, when I saw a girl about my age sorting trash into piles. Nearby, boys were fishing for metal scraps using magnets on strings. When my father returned home from work, I told him what I'd seen, and it had made me sad. It made him sad. "Abba?" I said. "Yes, Johnny," he said back. I always liked when he called me dear one. "Why haven't I seen that girl in my class?" "Because," he said, but he didn't finish right away. "Because, Johnny, in our country, not everyone sends their daughters to school. And some children must work to support their family. Those boys will sell the metal scraps they find. If they went to school, their families would go hungry." School was my favorite place, but I had never considered myself lucky to be able to go. My father had always said, "Malala will live free as a bird." Now I wondered how free I'd truly be. That night I thought about families who didn't have enough food, and the girl who couldn't go to school, and even about how, when I was older, I would be expected to cook and clean for my brothers, because where I came from, many girls weren't allowed to become what they dreamed of. I knew that if I had the magic pencil, I would use it to draw a better world, a peaceful world. First, I would erase war, poverty, and hunger, and then I would draw girls and boys together as equals. Over the next few years, instead of wishing for a magic pencil every night, I worked hard in school every day. I wanted to be one of the top students in my class. But soon, powerful and dangerous men declared that girls were forbidden from attending school. They walked the streets of our city now and carried weapons. One by one, girls stopped coming to school. "Abba, where are all the students? They don't feel safe here anymore." How could a few men stop all the girls in our valley from going to school? If more people knew what was happening to us, I thought they might help. Wishing wasn't enough. Someone needed to speak out. Why not me? I wrote about what it felt like to be scared to walk to school and how some of my friends had moved away because of the threat they faced in our city. I wrote about how much I loved school and how proud I was of my uniform. Once I started writing, I didn't stop. I wrote speeches and traveled around my country, sharing my story. I even talked to a reporter from a famous international newspaper. People actually wanted to learn about my life. I spoke for all the girls in my valley who couldn't speak for themselves. My voice became so powerful that the dangerous men tried to silence me, but they failed. And now my voice is louder than ever, louder because people have joined me, and together we make a chorus, standing up for what we believe. We raise our voices for those in need, help people in danger, even if they are an ocean away. Think of the world as a family. Do you still believe in magic? I do. I wrote alone in my room, but people all over the world were reading my story. Millions now know it and help me spread my message of hope. I had at last found the magic I was looking for in my words and in my work. I am Malala. I have always wished I could make the world a more peaceful place, and every day I work to make my wish come true. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. And if you'll join us in singing the first verse of This Little Light of Mine, we'll head downstairs.
I hope you subscribe to the Kairos, our weekly newsletter. Please be sure to read it for announcements about upcoming events and activities. Here are some things we'd like to share with you today. We have a new chili champion. Eli Logeman won first place in the chili cook-off. And the parking space out front. We had another tie for second place, Kendra and Jason. So congratulations to our winners. Please join us for an all-ages spring equinox celebration this Thursday, March 20th at 5:30 in Deal Hall. The Eco Justice team member will likely have more to share. Seder planning is underway. Please save the date for our family-friendly Seder celebration here on Tuesday, April 7th at 6 p.m. We'll share a potluck meal and the Passover story of moving from oppression to freedom. It will be an evening of community, questions, and renewed commitment to justice and compassion. Please join us on April 8th at 6 p.m. for Bad Faith, How Religion is Weaponized Against Democracy, featuring Dr. Andrew Ward, Associate Professor at Tulane University. We'll look at the mythologies of white Christian nationalism and how distorted history and selective biblical interpretation can be used for political power. We will talk about truthful, compassionate responses. Sign up with the QR code on the screen or pick up a flyer or register in Kairos. Please bring a friend. We have 65 people registered so far. Our goal is 100. An informed community is harder to divide, and that is part of how we protect pluralism and strengthen democracy. Each month, we'll be highlighting the activities of one of our Faith in Action teams. For March, that is our Eco Justice team. And so I'd like to invite a member of the team to come forward to tell you about what they're doing.
Good morning. My name is Monica Walk. I'm a new member since moving to Rockford in November with my husband, John Mark Bolthouse, and my pronouns are she and her. Our spring equinox celebration will take place this Thursday, March 19th, starting at 5:30 p.m. This will be an all-ages, joyful event that will include music, a story for all ages, snacks, and an interactive seed planting ritual. We hope you'll join us. We also invite you to bring a nature treasure to display on our altar for the evening. We'd also like to highlight an upcoming partner event. Sustain Rockford received a Community Foundation of Northern Illinois grant to host quarterly free Fix-It fairs in an effort to encourage residents to repair and keep items out of the landfill. Their first Fix-It Fair will be taking place on Saturday, March 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Emmanuel Lutheran Church. More information can be found under the Events tab on their church website or on our bulletin board in Deal Hall. We will now take up an offering to support the work of justice and mercy in the world. 80% of what's collected today will go to Sustain Rockford. Sustain Rockford's main vision is to be a community organization that educates and advocates for practices and policies that protect our community's land, air, and water to benefit all. Thank you for your generosity. The offering will now be given and most gratefully received.
Before our meditation this morning, a word about this morning's testimonial. During the pledge drive, which kicks off today, the testimonials will be done by, there'll be stewardship testimonials. Usually they're done by our worship associates, but we're giving them a little break from those. And this morning's testimonial will be rolled into the sermon. So you can wait for it there. Don't worry. It's still going to be, it's still going to happen. But we're going to move from the meditation right into the hymn this morning. Over the past few months, we've talked about how to forgive the world or God or our country or government during these times. There's a practice called Tonglen meditation, a Tibetan Buddhist tradition that can help cultivate the kind of non-judgmental compassion we need and our world needs right now. I want to invite us this morning to try this practice together, and there will be a time of quiet at the end, as we often do include, so that you can reflect on everything that's happening in a way that is right for you and your theology. In the words of Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, quiet is simply the absence of intentional adult talking. Everything else is the symphony of the universe. Instead of avoiding suffering, Tonglen invites us to take it into ourselves, filter it, and release compassion and hope. Now, as we do this practice, that can be tough sometimes. We take it in and maybe we're not ready for it. If that happens to you while we're doing this practice, I invite you to pause and let all the good energy that everyone is letting out come into you instead. Take a little Tonglen break, and just so it's all okay as we do this. Let us begin with the self. And I invite you to close your eyes if you want, or get grounded, shift your body a little bit so that you're feeling solid and grounded and in place. And as we begin with the self, imagine the cloud of suffering that you carry with you, however light or dense. I invite us to bravely breathe in that miasma, and filter it through you, and release kindness, healing, and everything else you need. You are powerful enough to turn suffering into goodness. Continue with that practice for a few moments. Breathing in your cares, filtering out goodness. Next, let us expand our awareness to our closest loved ones and those sitting around us. They may be the same. Picture their clouds of suffering, though you may not know the details. I invite you to bravely breathe in that miasma. Filter it through you, through your heart, and release kindness, healing, and anything else you wish for them. You are powerful enough to turn suffering into goodness. Let's continue that for a few breaths. Finally, the big one. Let us expand our awareness to the entire world. Picture our shared cloud of suffering, what we see every day on the news, with the things we wish we could redo with a magic pencil or a magic eraser. It can feel immense. But again, we are powerful, and I invite us to bravely breathe in that miasma, filter it through our bodies, and release kindness, healing, and anything else you wish for the world. We are powerful enough to turn suffering into goodness. Continue for a few breaths, or enter into prayer or contemplation as you wish. We can channel suffering into goodness. Let us share those few moments of quiet. blessed be, and amen. Let us rise in body or in spirit for our second hymn, number 300, with heart and mind. Our first reading is from Roots of Buddhist Psychology by Jack Kornfield. We all have, without exception, a very deep longing to give to the earth, to give to others, to give to the society, to work, to love, to care for the earth. That's true of every human being. And even the ones who don't find it, it's because it has been squashed or somehow suppressed in some brutal way in their life. But it's there to be discovered, and we all long for that. And there's tremendous sorrow for a human being who doesn't find a way to give. One of the worst of human sufferings is not to find a way to love or a place to work and give of your heart and your being. And a second reading, because I love the way these two work together, is To Be of Use by Marge Piercy. The people I love best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shadows, and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go to the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing, well done, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. Thus ends the readings. When I left parish ministry to go back into the Air Force in 2018, I was following two lifelong dreams, or long-time dreams, to be a military officer and to serve the Air Force as a chaplain overseas. Maybe there was a third desire in there, to never preach a stewardship sermon again. The prospect of ministering in a combat zone, GTG. Facing another stewardship drive. Maybe you share the same apprehension, though, about pledge drives, pledge months. For those of you who have been here 10, 20, 30, anybody here been here 40 years, 50 years, 60 years? Okay, wow. Maybe you're weary of 10, 20, 30, 40, 60 pledge drives that you've gone through. Maybe those of you who are new, this might be your first pledge drive in a Unitarian Universalist church, and you might have questions. Is it like NPR? Kind of. Is it going to be awkward? Talking about money always can be. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Not if we're doing it right. Am I going to be coerced into giving more than I want to give? No. But if you feel that way, call me or call someone, because that means we're not doing it right. I can't answer all the questions now, but here is my hope and the one big answer to kind of all those questions. My hope is that the pledge drive brings us joy. Generosity is a spiritual practice aligned with gratitude, imagining possibility, and cultivating joy. For decades, I used a phrase every Sunday before the offering. Thank you for your generosity, and may what you give bring you joy. Because I don't introduce the offering here in this particular order of service, you said it very often. Thank you for your generosity, and may what you give bring you joy. Now, why say it ahead of the offering and not after? Because gratitude doesn't have to follow a gift. When it comes to giving, I'm really thankful for every gift, no matter the size. I'm grateful before it's given. I just want them to be joyful gifts for you. Gifts that are too much for a budget are heavy. Gifts that feel coerced are sullied with guilt and resentment. Gifts that are too little can feel wrong. Like a billionaire heiress who never considers giving more than $20 a month. I'd rather tell you about the billionaire giver who drops a $30,000 check on my desk when she joins the church. No strings attached, because she says, churches always need a little extra. Truth be told, these are both beloved billionaire members of churches served long ago and far away, who now rest in peace. The best stories about giving, I know, are the ones that sound made up, though. The child who about once a month gave me $1 from his allowance. The semi-homeless member who never failed to drop off her pledge by the office, even when I told her not to. I remember when I encouraged her to keep the money. You need it, I said. What a mistake that was. No, she replied, I need to give it. It was a joy for her to give that small amount. Sometimes I can be an idiot for not realizing how for her giving meant she was still contributing. She was like in the Marge Piercy. She needed to give. She needed to contribute. Those were gifts that brought the giver's joy. Now, the thing I kind of like about military life, apart from the marked lack of stewardship drives, are all the acronyms. I do. I love them. SNAFU, FUBAR, BOHICA, BLUF. Only the last one is appropriate to explain in church. BLUF, B-L-U-F. Bottom line up front. Make your point first and then run your mouth. Or don't. So here's your sermon bluff. Here's the bluff. Keep doing what you're doing. Be generous, because you are. Imagine the possibilities before us, because you always have. Dream big. Okay, that's it. I'm going home. I say keep doing what you're doing, because across the 5 UUMA chapters, those are the ministers' chapters that I'm a part of, clusters, groups, we are part of an alarmingly small number of congregations that are thriving in post-COVID times. It's not that we have cash to burn or don't need to do a stewardship drive, but as a community, we are somehow cooking up some secret sauce. And if I could figure out how to bottle it, I could retire. Again. Tried it, didn't stick the first time. Seriously, this month, I learned of 2 prominent churches in Chicago that are losing their full-time ministers and moving to part-time because of funding. Prominent churches that have always had full-time ministers, at least one full-time minister. Other congregations in our region are deciding not to have professional ministry at all, but are returning to lay leadership. There's nothing wrong with lay-led congregations, but when it's forced and not a choice, it feels sad to me. I know at least one church is selling its building in our area. And there are several factors in this marked decline in resourcing churches. First, there's a general decline in liberal Protestant churches. Attendance, has declined in 2007. The number of American families involved in what we call the liberal mainline churches were about 18%. That's down to 11% last year, and it's predicted by Pew Research Center data to be 5% by 2030. 5% of U.S. households involved in progressive churches. These trends are driven by aging membership, low retention of younger generations, and just a lack of interest. You've seen this too in our society. I personally think it's because people are tired of being judged. Even amongst churches that don't judge, they're afraid of it. People need not hell, but hope. That's a different sermon. But I think the fact that we're the only mainline American religion with our flavor of radical inclusivity has meant we're not dying like other denominations. It's true. And second, there are the lingering impacts of the pandemic from which many progressive churches have not recovered. And actually, this extends to the evangelical community as well. They're noticing that they're not rebounding after the pandemic. This is what I'm hearing most from my colleagues around Chicago and Wisconsin. They just didn't come back. You're back. Even on a cold winter day, you're back. And you're back and thriving. Through all these challenging trends, you're supporting 2 experienced ministers, a credentialed and talented religious educator, a music director par excellence, a congregational administrator who may be the best one I've worked with. She is. And an hourly staff supporting all this underneath. And paying fair compensation. Are we overstaffed? You might be thinking that right now. No, we're not. This is what a healthy program church looks like. And perhaps the most challenging thing in considering a stewardship drive, which kicks off this morning, is the shiny new thing. The idea is this in a pledge drive. People aren't going to pledge more unless there's something new and shiny that's going to motivate them. Earlier this week, as I sat with the stewardship team, I had a moment. It looks like this. We don't have a shiny thing, I thought. After just a millisecond or two of having my moment, I realized 3 things. First, this is not an ordinary church. You understand generosity and what it takes to keep this moving, this magic pencil moving. And I walked in here to a healthy budget. Interim ministers often it's very common that we face broken financial systems that we have to address. There's a lot of health here. Second, these are not ordinary times. You know now more than ever that the world needs institutions like this to stand against oppression, tyranny, and fascism. 2 years ago, those words would have been excessive, alarmist, hyperbole. They are no longer excessive, alarmist hyperbole. I don't need to convince you of your value to the world in standing up against oppression and tyranny. And third, in this time of transition, the shiny new thing is sitting right in front of you, the opening chapter of a new settled ministry. Now is not the time to stop the momentum. Our pledge drive theme is appropriately imagine. I'm not going to tell you what the new shiny thing is. Your lay leadership shouldn't either, not yet. Actually, they're not going to tell it to you. They're going to good leadership always reflects a vision back, right? This is a time for you to imagine. You get to dream. You get to discover. You get to create. As a transitional minister, I get to journey with you as you contemplate your next shiny thing. And I get to remind you today, transitional times are not periods to stop fueling the mission. They're periods of development where we remember who we are, why we're here. And we have so much for which to be grateful: stability, growth, energy, potential, music, lifelong learning, congregational life, community, ideas to fuel your mind, as we say, a hunger to participate. So my ask for you today is simple. Examine how grateful you are for this church, how it supports your spiritual, social, artistic, musical, intellectual life. And from that gratitude, keep supporting it as you always have. If you can't give more, if you can, give more, give more. If you can't give more, give the same. If you can't give the same, that is perfectly okay too. Find a gift that brings you joy. Since I'm confident in this pledge drive, and I am, I haven't always said that with pledge drives, but I want to lift up another way of giving. It's said we value all gifts of time, talent, and treasure. We've talked this morning about sharing our financial treasure, but there's another need that can use our time and our talent right now. And that is our real future, our children and youth who need attention and care. And I'm talking about ours within this community. Almost every Sunday, Reverend Joyce, Lindsay, and Liz from the office are peeling off to sub in for teaching slots formerly filled by volunteers. And a few of our volunteers, I'm not going to embarrass them, you know who they are, they do. They're seemingly everywhere all the time, jumping in, filling in cracks. We want to keep them and thank them, not burn them out. We just need some more oars in the water, and I'm going to tell you how. Now, again, we're not alone. I mentioned that many churches are struggling with funding to the point of laying off staff, but every church leader I've talked to says volunteerism has not rebounded from the pandemic. And this is from struggling churches to the big ones that, usually don't say things like that. And so here is my call to action for you this morning. As you consider your financial gift, would you also consider volunteering in some way to help with our religious education program? And I said, consider, because of course, families, careers, all those things are big factors. But I will bet that there's a few of us who haven't maybe even considered it yet, and now's the time. Because instilling in our children and youth the values that we care about most, I do worry about that quite a lot. And the barriers to serving in this capacity are real because it takes time and commitment and courage. Helping nurture our children and youth takes time because they need us to be present in their lives. Often they just need us to be present. Helping nurture our children and youth takes commitment. They need our full attention for us to show up, to be amazed by their lives. And it takes your courage, because if you haven't worked with children and youth, it can be intimidating. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, here is that testimony that I promised you earlier. It's kind of how I learned to contribute with a whole heart. When our son was entering high school almost 20 years ago, he asked Cindy and me to be youth advisors. He was tired of religious education being all education and no religion, he said. And two youth advisors who'd led the program for decades were stepping aside. I wasn't in seminary yet, but Jevin knew me as pathologically religious. Of course I said yes, but I was scared out of my mind. I liked interacting with children one at a time. There was a reason we had one child. And teenagers, one at a time. Cindy and I signed up with 3 other young adults and 0 training to start our time with the youth. There's 5 of us. Curriculum, kind of. We had one, but the youth weren't interested in it at all. We finally thought to ask them. They said very clearly, they'd talked about it, we want to do covenant groups the same as adults. We used to call covenant groups what we would call today soul matters groups. The DRE said, No, it's too mature for them. Absolutely not. So I asked my son for advice. You asked for our opinion, Dad. So we ignored the DRE. We went back and explained why we were ignoring him, got the blessing that we needed, and started doing what the youth asked for. And the magic happened. The magic pencil started drawing, and yes, I think we shaped some lives, but more, they shaped our lives. It happened slowly, like ice melting slowly over a year, but yes, they made us part of their lives. I found a couple heartfelt phrases when the really hard stuff came up that would work wonders. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. You're not alone, because every one of those things was true. Eventually, the youth asked if they could lead themselves, with us coaching from the sidelines. Of course. The group went from around 10 or less to 25. We showed up for them, and showing up represented 99% of the greatest ministry I think I ever did. From that work as a youth advisor, I heard a larger call to ministry. Those 4 years of helping others in those personal and spiritual ways sparked something in me. Something else happened. Our family's giving to the church started increasing as well. As we became aware of our passion for youth ministry, because teaching RE is ministry, we discovered a new awareness to support as much as we could. We remembered how when we first joined the church, we could only give $5 or $10 a week. When we were ready, it just felt joyful to realign our giving to that newfound passion. It was all the same thing. As our reading by Jack Cornfield this morning reminds us, we all have a deep longing to give to the earth, others, society, our children and youth, to love itself. If it's there to be discovered, he says, we all long for that. And as we've been exploring, it's all connected. The funding, the volunteering, the showing up. As I volunteered with our youth, I found myself giving more financially because I got it. And I'll bet you there's 100 people in this community who could say the same thing about their volunteering. When I couldn't volunteer as much, I found ways to contribute, in other ways. Sometimes churches just carried me in times of need. Sometimes I helped, along with others, to carry the church. In other words, Rockford, let's keep doing the many things we do so well, and at the same time, imagine big. And may what we bring to the world bring you joy. The great Frederick Buechner once said, the place God calls you is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet, or simplified. Where does your joy and the world's deep hunger meet? Where your joy and the world's great needs come together. Could be here. May it be so. Blessed be and amen. Let us rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn. 318. It's not only for ourselves that we have gathered in this place, it is for the world we serve. It is not for our children that we gather here at this time, it is for their children. It is not only for our ideals that we gather here amongst friends and sojourners, for our ideals without direction are like falling leaves in wind. It is for the growing of roots that we gather, roots for our ideals, roots for our children, roots for our place in the world. And now, while Alexis extinguishes our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, which we carry in our hearts until we gather again, I invite you to join hands for our closing blessing. Now let us sing our closing blessing.